As a floral designer, I look to nature for an endless source of inspiration. My surrounding gardens, the natural landscape of Arkansas. If you train your eye to be able to see what nature has to offer every day, you'll become a better designer. Endless inspiration of color and texture, line, it's all there if we see it. I'm Charlie Groppetti, AFD, and this is my perspective. Materials used for this design are blueberry foliage, autumn clematis, blooming oregano, oak branches, garden roses, sea oats, peachy hydrangea, blooming mint, apples on the branch, sycamore, Korean spice bush, abelia, Magnolia alta, hibiscus calyxes, maple with seed pods, Physocarpus 9-bark, and fountain grass. Hi, and welcome to my perspective cut from the landscape. We're looking at things cut and gathered, and how we could put them together in a garden style arrangement. So in the garden, typically, there is something plants have to overcome. And so I thought this dead oak branch was really symbolic of that. I wanted to be a little different than most garden style arrangements because I wanted to have a little bit of age to it. And in the garden, plants always have to overcome something. And I thought if I put this dead branch in here, the design would have to overcome it, just symbolically, as nature does. And we do the same thing as humans. We have obstacles that we have to overcome, and you adapt and you grow on. And now we're going to start with counterbalancing this. And I like to start with outlining the design and kind of creating the shape, the generalized shape. This is blueberry foliage. It has a beautiful sweeping line. And with materials that are gathered, cultivated materials are production, and they are meant to be straight and perfect, and we have to sort of add nuance to them. Well, with things that are gathered from the landscape or from the wild, they have that nuance already. You just have to determine what's the best way to use that material. And this has a beautiful sweeping line, so it's very pretty right here. So you can see we've sort of started to counterbalance this and create this nice curved, shapely line. Now we have some heavy elements like these apples. And you know, of course, they're going to cascade over that front lip because something like this is definitely focal point material. And it's really going to give you some emphasis here at the lip of the container. And that lip is also going to help support the weight of those apples. When you have materials like this, you could clean them up. Maybe take that branch off and, you know, reduce the foliage because it's all about the apples. So just sort of take a few off. And you want to make sure you take the whole leaf off. You don't want to leave some remnant of the leaf. So, this is what we have so far. You see, we created that nice impact with those apples. Now we have this autumn clematis. I'm just going to untangle it a little bit. And we're just sort of going to skirt this design a bit. I like to kind of get the cascade done. And this line will take from front to back. And I'm literally going to cross these vines over as if they're what they do in nature. They would grow right onto this or over these oak branches as they lay on the ground. Now we're going to add in magnolia. I love the way this magnolia sort of transitions the color from green, yellow-green, to this really pretty copper color. So we're going to look at this, and really it's the most heavy material we have to counterbalance this. And I'm watching the curve of that line. That's awfully pretty. Love the contrast of textures between this and the magnolia. That gives us a nice form and a nice body to the design. Now for the PG hydrangea. This is limelight, and it is in full bloom right now. We're going to tidy up some of the foliage. And gosh, it is definitely a focal point flower, if there ever was one. So we also want to feature it to its most potential. This bloom is a little sideways. We're going to try and use that to its advantage. I think it could be good coming off the container, maybe here. Yeah, pretty. This is what we have now with the PG hydrangeas. So we have our basic form. So now we're going to start adding more layers and textures to that, and so we complete our design. I have these beautiful garden roses, and I think we'll place them while we have room. They're more of a important flower. We'll see what they do. And I think they're sort of cascading, climbing roses. I think if we insert them just right, we can use these oak branches as support. Perfect. Nice when things work out. Well, out looking around today, sourcing for this design, found this beautiful sycamore. Sycamore is one of my personal favorites. And the coloring of the foliage is a little different because it has sort of a golden tint to it. Just what I needed to blend some colors together. And when you're cutting things in nature or from the landscape, always be mindful to leave the mother plant looking its best. Sometimes you can prune as you cut to improve the overall shape of the tree, but you don't want to go in and hack some tree, whether it's in the wild or in someone's landscape. You want to leave it in better condition than when you started cutting on it. Now, the sycamore branches. This is a really pretty papery texture. And that papery kind of rugged texture really plays well with the oak branches. So, this is what we have now. A lot of nice color balance, a lot of texture, and the overall shape. Now we're going to just keep adding layers of texture. It's a garden style arrangement, so it needs to be full and lush. Korean spice bush. Another plant that you notice when it's blooming because it's highly fragrant. And we're going to use it as a nice sort of filler here in the back. Sort of balances off that color from the magnolia. Seems to work well there. And then I'll pull it to the front. Now I'm going to put on these beautiful seed pods of the maple tree. And I love the contrast of the apple green and this brown. I discovered these beautiful seed pods on this maple tree today. And when you cut it, it looks something like this. A little busy, but if you reduce the foliage by plucking it off, you'll end up with something like this. And these are really pendulous, so we want to make sure that we don't force them. They need to hang because that's how nature intended. Korean spice bush is a nice point of origin for this color to transition into this brown papery color. Our blooming mint is a little unusual because you don't see it blooming often. It's got great fragrance. So along with the roses and the mint, and the oregano, it has a nice element of fragrance. It also is the white point of this color palette, where we go all the way from white to brown, and really we need the materials to blend us all the way from white to brown. There's a lot of gradation, a lot of steps. We have some short pieces of Abelia, and we're going to take this to that side. And use it to add some depth to this color here. And up here. Now let's look at this fountain grass. We it's the darkest value in this, so it really needs to be placed in just the right spot. Let's take a look. So it needs to arise out of this darker palette here, these darker materials. So that's where it's going to go. There we go. So let's turn around and take a look before we finish up the last little textures. This is where we are. Yes, I'm still back there. Probably our next most important element is the 9-bark, the physocarbus. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. And actually, I think it looks best here. It has a nice subtle curved line. And so we're sort of balancing off these two high points in heavy areas here with the magnolia, the sycamore, and then this one. They will balance our design. And with that soft kind of curved line, it will sort of add more volume visually. This 9-bark is called coppertina. It turns really copper on the tips of the foliage when it's ready. I have these hibiscus. This is domestic hibiscus, but big pink flowers, but when they fall off, they have this beautiful calyx. And with the color palette today, I thought it was perfect. Just by accident, I found these today. Now these are not on really long stems, so they're going to have to go toward the lip of the container. You might just put one in here for discovery, and then maybe we'll put these up front where they're very featured. This is blueberry foliage. Now that nice curved piece we used in the beginning was blueberry foliage, which is a little more green. This one is a newer shoot. It's really super strong foliage. And it's in the same family as huckleberry. Those are all in the blueberry family. So if you get huckleberry, or huck as they call it in industry, it's really blueberry. So this is blueberry. We picked a lot of berries. This is new growth, and it's got a beautiful gray green. And whenever you incorporate gray, it really helps you neutralize colors and make things, pulls things together visually. Sea oats. Sea oats has a lot of movement, sort of has this quaking sensation. I love the bright green. It really picks up on the apple green, and it just extends. It's light. It's just a great finishing layer. So we have that, and then we have the oregano, which I will use last to do the last finishing touches to fill in. now we'll add the blooming oregano. I'd like to thank AIFD Foundation for this opportunity, and for more perspectives, go to AIFDfoundation.org.